Welcome back to BFF, Books, Fix, and Friendship, where chaos leads, plot twists follow. I'm Cal,
I'm Meg.
I'm Kiera.
and today we're going to be talking about the entirety of Assassin's Blade. We'll do, they're novellas, right? So we'll do like a novella at a time talking about it, but we will cover the entirety of it in this session. So, spoiler warning now.
Yeah.
We're not going to be holding back, so. All right.
I did get my laptop to charge, so.
I do want to point out that I am
Yay.
glad we read it this way.
Yeah. That was going to be one of my
Yes.
questions, is if you guys had wished you'd read it first or not. Because,
No, I'm glad we read it this way because, like, reading it, like, I really don't think, like, just reading Assassin's Blade by itself would have made me want to read the rest of the series.
yeah, that's the thing.
I don't
it's
think
like,
so
it's,
either.
And, like, they're, like, these 5 little short stories, and it's, like, okay, and it's, like, once you, like, know her better, I don't know, I feel like you just connect to it way better when you've already...
Yeah. So what I would say is this is, like, because it's 5 short stories, even though they kind of run together, they're really choppy, right?
Yeah.
And, like, you're getting kind of, like, time skips and stuff like that. And I think reading that first is kind of disorienting, especially because Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight are not written in that same manner. And I'm assuming the rest of the series is not either, but who knows at this point. So I think, like, if we read that first one, you're missing a lot of context. Like, even though you don't think of it that way because it is a prequel, like, there are things that you've learned about that, like, then puts these into perspective, and you're like, oh, yeah, because, like, at first you're like, okay, like, if you read this first, you'd be like, okay, what's the point of that? Or, like,
It
nice,
just doesn't do
but...
Throne of Glass justice, and it kills me when someone tries to read Assassin's Blade first, and, like, I couldn't get into it at all, and I'm like, please just try reading Throne of Glass. Like,
Yeah.
It's so different. Like, it's... Yeah.
I would say, I think third is probably good in the order of, like, how the rest of the series goes, because you did say, like, there's a pretty significant, like, shift in Celaena, right? And, like, what she's doing.
Yeah.
But I would either read it third or last, right? There's some people who read it last, so
I would even say you could read it fourth, but I do feel like it fits best here. And just because, like, what comes next, it's like, I feel like it's just important to have all that deep context and background on her, like, and so that you can move on and move forth into the next chapter,
Yeah. I do kind of like that we didn't read it first, though.
I was worried you guys were gonna be like, I wish I'd read this first, and I've failed you guys. So I'm glad you guys.
No, definitely not first. I mean, I'm just impatient, and I, like, want to, like, read the whole series right now. So, like, I was just kind of annoyed.
Tabs, like, do I have to tab them? Like, do I have to do all this stuff? Which really I don't, but, like, I do at the same time.
Yeah, I like tabbing, right? But, like, I just want to sit and I want to, like, consume all of the books and then be like, okay, now I'll go back and tab all of them.
Yeah. It's funny, I'll tell, like, okay, so even though, like, I, like, read the second half of Crown of Midnight, but I didn't have time to tab it, and then I sat down to tab it, and I, like, caught myself just getting sucked into the story all over again. Like, it's like every time I'm just like, I just want to get, focused, locked in.
Yeah, I'm definitely, like I said, I'm definitely glad we didn't read it first because, like, I mean, like Kel said, they're choppy. Like, they feel like they were pulled out of a bigger story, which I mean they were in a sense.
Yeah.
So
that was, like, just kicking. Like, I don't know. I feel like this read, Sam just had me kicking my feet so much more than any of the other reads for some reason. Like, they're just so cute together. Like, in, like, the beginning, like, and, like, the pirates, was it the assassin and the pirate lord? And, like, when she's, like, leaning on his shoulder and he's, like, putting his hand on her waist. So I was just like, oh, they're so cute.
I do like that, like, this is the origin, at least from Celaena's perspective, of their, like, romance and everything, right? And I do love the, like, meaning that it has for her, right? Because we've talked about, like, how vehemently she is against slavery and stuff like that. And so, like, for her to make the decision to free those slaves and for him to wholeheartedly go along with that, like, just is really meaningful there, right? And, like, really goes to her character and like gives you more context, even more so, into, like, Throne of Glass and the stuff that we were
like,
seeing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, I really liked that was the start of, you know, these novellas.
Yeah, it also gave me a little bit more insight as to why, like, she may have attached to Kale a little bit more, too, because the way he is with her and, like, how he gives her shit is very similar to how
Yeah.
Sam would give her shit.
Yes.
And I was just like, there's so much mirroring here. Oh my God, I
No, I
love it. I still love
know.
Kale. I mean, like, I love Kale, though. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was really hard. I really did. There's also like a part, and I don't know which part it's in, like which short story it's in, but like it was listing off all the food that she liked, and like she brought up cake.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
chocolate cake.
I was just like,
Yes.
ah.
Yeah.
But it was also
Um,
really cool seeing some of the things that Sarah has slipped in, like to Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight. Like maybe not in the same, yeah, like just seeing some of the things, like because I knew at some point, or I hoped at some point. Anyways, let me preface that. I hoped at some point because like in I think it's Crown of Midnight where she's talking to Kale about Wesley warning her.
mhm.
Yes.
And like I loved, and I know I'm jumping here, but like I loved
Getting
getting
to
to that
see it.
point and getting that moment. And that I actually listened to that on my way home tonight because like whenever I stopped reading this morning, I was on like chapter 5. So I
Okay.
listened to chapter 5 and 6 before I went to go get my mom and Tegan, and then like I listened to like 6, 7, 8, and 9 on the way home tonight
Yeah.
because I had to stop and get food, and those were all really short chapters to listen to. So like getting to like actually hear it too, though, because I just love Elizabeth Evans as a narrator. Like I don't know why her voice makes me happy, and like hearing her narrate these things and put like inflection on certain things, like it really like brought it to life for me, and like it took me immediately back to Crown of Midnight, where she was fighting those thoughts that she was having in toward the end of AB.
Yeah.
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 It's just like, oh my God, my baby, like I
I
love you. I'm
know.
so sorry.
I have so
And then I
many.
have to
I don't
remember that
have.
he is gone right now, so we're good.
Yeah. I don't have that many thoughts of, like, the first couple stories. Really, like, my thoughts start coming up around the desert. You know, the third one, and
Oh,
then
I did just want to
past.
mention the only other thing I had for like Assassin's Blade was like her interaction with like Rolf, and like I just loved it. Like she's so
oh, it
like
was fantastic.
her
I
like
mean, it's
arrogance
classic
and
Celaena.
cheekiness. Yeah, it was great. And
Yes.
like
Her
Sam just
sassiness.
being like, oh my god, you know, like, and then like
Yeah.
Yeah.
the whole reveal of her being like a 16-year-old little girl, and he's like,
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. He's like,
love
what?
that.
I liked that. Like
I
she
think
just
it's
she did the one thing that she knew would stop him,
Yeah.
and like she just like whipped her mask off real quick. It was like, girl, what you doing? But I mean, I get
especially
it.
because he made the comment about, like, how he rose to power, which was that he was young and, like, the experienced people, like, didn't, you know, like, think of him as a threat. And then
Yeah.
he was like, but I, you know, like, made sure that they never made that mistake again or something like that. And so then for her to, like, reveal that she's 16 and,
Yeah.
like, has already taken him down like 3 times now, right? And, like,
Yeah.
he's like, oh shit.
And then she's like, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna sign these papers and you're never gonna sell slaves again. And it's like, ah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I do wish we would have gotten a little bit more about that map though. That was cool.
I do
Like the
too. I
map
oh,
that
thought
he had.
it was
yeah.
pretty
That was
cool.
something I thought was really cool. And I thought it was really cool that like she didn't like put the pieces together about the map either with it being magic.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it doesn't work anymore because all the magic's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the end of it, I'm trying to remember how much I don't think it quite dived into the treatment, but the end of that one was pretty rough, with Arabin beating her whenever
Mm-hmm.
they get home. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
But then, oh wait, that was another thing that that got slipped in too. I can't remember if it was Throne of Glass or Crown of Midnight, where she's thinking about that night.
Yeah.
And like we don't obviously at that point we don't know like what happened. We just know that she screwed up.
Yeah.
And she's talking about like or well narrator's telling us she's thinking about Sam screaming.
Yeah.
I can't remember if
Yeah.
it's
Um,
I'm
Crown of
thinking.
Midnight. So like getting that also like in as much detail as we got, I loved it.
yeah. I wanted to go through and pull all the different times that all the like AB is referenced, but I didn't have time to, so I only have a couple of them. But
Yeah.
um
Yeah. It's the beginning of the second one, the assassin and the healer that
Yeah.
talks about the beating.
okay.
Because she's talking about the bruising and stuff that she has.
Yeah.
Um, which I really liked that one, even though
Okay.
like it felt really short to
Too.
me and it felt like really abbreviated. Um, but some of the things that I said is I feel like Irene, that's how you pronounce it, right?
That's what I say. I say Irene
Okay.
Thomas. Yeah.
So I think Irene is like, remember Celaena has talked about like wanting to be a
Wanted to be a
healer.
healer. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like by Celaena like paying for her to be able to do that, that's kind of like Celaena like fulfilling that desire in herself type thing
Yeah.
because she kind of like sees Irene as like who she could have been or like something like that.
Why am I
Had
like getting
things
emotional?
but had things like not turned out the way that they did, and she like
Yeah.
didn't have to be Arabin's protege. Like these are things that could have happened, and like I think also Irene is like an example of like the innocence that she still like seeks out in the world and stuff like that, right? Because Irene like didn't do anything wrong and her family was healers and like she has all of this
Yeah.
potential, but then like also like she's just as much of a victim of what's been going on with the magic
Yeah.
leaving and stuff, and like she's kind of seeing her in this dump, right? And being
Right.
like, like you
Grossly
don't
mistreated.
belong here.
Yeah.
Yeah, not just that, but
I
also
love
like
her saying
targeted.
like you could be miserable here or you can just go and be miserable there even if you can't afford it, but at least you're one step closer. Like
Yeah.
I like that mentality.
Yeah.
I think that kind of like is her mentality too in regards to at least at this point like in regards to being Arabin's protege, right? Like
Yeah.
she's talking about these things and so she's like at least I'm like one step closer to doing the things that I want or stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like and then I did just like kind of be like, ooh, I wonder if we're going to see Irene again and like maybe she'll come back or something, but
That would be cool.
also maybe not. Like maybe we'll see her like actually as a healer and like she went to the academy and like did everything and stuff. But I
I
do
want
kind of love her teaching her self-defense out in the
I
alley.
love that.
Yeah.
I
Like,
love
ooh.
that. And I was kind of with Irene on that point too, because that happened and then like they got cornered and like she had a
Yeah.
dagger to her throat and Celaena just kind of like staring at him and like not dropping weapons or anything. So I was kind of like, okay, like, I know you better than this, Celaena. Like, I know you're not gonna let anything happen, but what the
Yeah.
like,
No,
I
I
feel like
kind of knew it was like a now or never type thing, like, right? So it's kind of, people
Yeah.
talk about this actually in general with like self-defense a lot, right? And that you have to like continually practice your response, because otherwise what'll happen is like in that moment you'll freeze or like you'll forget and like you won't respond the way that you want to. So you have to consistently like train yourself to respond the way that you want to, kind of thing, right?
yeah.
But like also self-defense classes and even practicing with like people that you know is a very controlled environment and not really like real world type things, right? So there's always a chance that like you're still gonna freeze or something like that, right? So I 100% understand Celaena being like, girl, you gotta you gotta live through it, come on.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
um
Irene needed to believe in herself, and she had
yeah,
lost
that's
that belief in herself a lot because of her situation.
yeah. Yeah, I think Selena kind of also knew that, right? That she's like kind of disheartened and like discouraged, and like she needs to see that she is capable and she is able to do these things, and like, you know, even if it scares her.
Yeah. I do want to say that I loved that we got to see Sam kind of questioning everything
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
in the first one. Like, that was something I wanted to bring up a second ago. Like, in the first one, like, he's like, I think there's more at work than this trade agreement.
Oh yeah, because like he's questioning why both of them had to be on this
Well,
Yeah.
and they were,
He's like,
and they're
why'd
both
they send
Arabins
us
to
away for
death.
this month? Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I feel like even more to that because, right, so it sounds like Arabin has Selena as his first and then Sam is his second, right? You know, type thing.
Yeah.
And so just strategically, you would never send your two best people
Yeah.
on the same mission. And so I get it, like Sam being like, this is weird because objectively it is. And then the other thing is like, it's such a long journey as well. And then I guess I don't know if Arabin knew at this point Selena's feelings about slaves. Um, but that also feels kind of targeted to have her on that mission.
It was
Um,
specifically 2 months, 3 days, and 8 hours. What took her?
oh, mm.
Which are, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's like a significant amount of time for two of your best people to be gone, and
Yeah.
this isn't like this is a agreement, right? It's not a killing, right? It's not like an actual assassination. So why would you need your two best assassins on that, you know, type thing?
Yeah.
So I get Sam questioning it, um, but I think also like at least at this point, right? Selena's still like really suspicious of Sam and his motives, and so she's like, what do you mean?" And like, you know, like she's kind of brushing him off. But it is like a good, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that also speaks to like what Sam was saying, like after they did get free and have their own apartment and all that. Or no, it was before they kissed, I think, when he said that you
I
would
know
pick
exactly what you're talking
Arabin.
about.
He was like, because you'd pick Arabin every time.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like, no, stupid.
What I'll say
Um.
is like this is giving very like Sarah does a really good job of displaying like what it means to be a victim of abuse in like a relationship like that,
Yeah.
because one, it's not, it sounds like this is like the first time that he was ever really that physically abusive with her
Yeah.
because of her reaction to it. But what I'll say is like the vibe that I get is one, obviously very emotionally abusive, right?
Yeah.
Like, but two, I do think to some extent like that he's also like really financially abusive, because she talks about like him getting these gifts for her, but then also like he's expecting her to pay him back for that. And by having her like pay him back for these things that he's getting for her in order to like invest in her career type thing, then that's keeping her under his thumb. And like I think he's doing that intentionally, because he knows like she will never be able to work enough to pay that off, and like that he will forever have this hold over her. And like, and we see this later, and I don't want to like spoil it too much, but we do see it later, and I was just like, yeah, that's exactly the feeling that I'm getting. And like she's kind of sitting there, especially in this one with like the healer, right? You like see her sitting at the table and like thinking about the bruises, and like, but also the brooch that he got her, and like all of these things, and like this kind of dichotomy. And that really is what it's like when you've been in like raised in an abusive environment, is really what it is, right? Because like, especially with Celaena, she was so young. One, there's no other option, right? Her other option is death. And then two, like, you start to get to this point where you're like, oh, this is just normal. Or like, this is just the relationship. That's just how he is. And you start to excuse it. And you really see that when she comes back from the desert, right? And like her reaction to that. Because I guess we can talk about the desert now, right?
So, go on,
Because she goes to the desert and she's still like very conflicted about this relationship. And go ahead.
No, you're okay. You're good.
She's very conflicted about that relationship, and you can tell though, like, she's going there with the sole reason of getting the approval to bring back to Arabin to get back in his good graces, right? And like, she's very focused on the fact that she has to have this letter, and like she has to do it, and she has to get back, and she has to make things right. And then, you know, like, she's also reflecting while she's there about the fact that this is like an academy of assassins who are all willing to like share knowledge and help each other and like still work together, but that's not the environment.
I love the moment where the master like goes up to her and she's basically like flinching, you know, and then he like raises her chin, and it's just like, he's like, I'm not gonna beat you, you know. And like that was just like, like,
because I mean, like, I'm not even gonna lie, even I was kind of like, oh no.
Oh, no. I loved when she like told everybody, because you know, like, there's the quip about, you know, like, did you deserve this or whatever, right? Yes. And she's like, it depends on who you're asking. Like, if you ask him, I did, because I was defiant and I did go against his orders and I wasn't sorry about it, right?
But if you ask the like 200 slaves I freed,
like, it's a matter of perspective. Like,
I love that.
And even they were just like, oh shit, because they know who Arabin is. I mean, like,
and also, like, I think not just they know who Arabin is, but they know the danger of saving those slaves. Right?
Politically, because the climate.
It's one, like, the king obviously wants people enslaved. He needs them in his work camps and like stuff like that, right? And then two, the slave trade is being run by pirates, and everyone knows about like how dangerous the pirates are. So she's, you know, it's not just that she's making a potential enemy of Arabin, right? But also all of these other people. And so I really did love that. And then I loved kind of like the flashbacks of her like reliving that moment of the beating and everything, and like her perspective. I will say I'm very mad at Ansel.
Yeah.
Fucking
So
hell. Because I was
find...
rooting for you. Okay.
Yeah. So first of all, we finally got like some more significance for the Lord of the North. I don't know if you guys have picked up on him being mentioned multiple times in Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight.
Yes.
But she like gives like the background and stuff on like, you know, like it's the Northern Star and stuff, and like there's a point where she says like when she gets to the desert she like felt like she could like smell, you know, like the pines. It like that's it's like that feeling of like freedom, you know. And I was going somewhere else with that. I don't remember what.
It'll come back to you.
But there are multiple times where she references Ansel, and whenever she first meets Nehemia and they kind of start to hit it off, she's like, I only like, there's only like one time where like I made friends with a girl and it like went really bad. And then like she brings it up multiple times, like that betrayal that she had with some girl. And then there's even a line where, let me find it. No one has called me friend in a long time, the assassin said. An inky black crept into the corner of her memory, and she struggled against it. There are parts of me that she heard it then, the sound that haunted her dreams. Hooves pounding, thunderous hooves. Celaena shook her head and the sound stopped. Thank you, Nehemia, she said with sincerity. You were a true friend. I was like, oh, whenever I read that in Crown of Midnight, it was like, oh. And then again with like the mentioning of the... Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, I wasn't even thinking about that. That's kind of one of the nice things about just reading through this and not tabbing is like when I got to this story, I was just thinking about her time there because like I know she had mentioned it before, and I wasn't thinking about the fact that like she said she didn't really have friends and like they didn't go well, and I'm like reading their interaction and I'm like, ooh, this is like such a cool character. Like she's so badass. Like maybe this is really like a connection that she's gonna have. And I'm like, at one point, I'm even like, ooh, I like the name Ansel. That could be like a cool kid name that's still like bookish themed. That's not like so obviously bookish themed. And then I get to the ending, I'm like, what the fuck?
Betrayal,
no, like that,
like intense betrayal too. She killed her like boyfriend, you know, like
yeah,
and then like jumped into his body whenever she left. Like she gave him like no second thought. Yeah. But I will say she did, and like after having like the master talk, which was really cool, like having that experience too in the same story, like having him explain all of that, like it kind of made sense because like, you see where Ansel was in her story, like you see like how her story had gone and like how she turned out, but then you also have her right next to somebody like Celaena and Sam who has similar stories, also stuck in a situation that they really couldn't control, but they handled it differently. So it really, Sarah did a really, really good job at like making Ansel the character that she was, because I don't know, like it just showed like the stark contrast of Celaena and Sam. Because she will say like she didn't have a choice.
I did kind of like that she like did feel genuinely for Celaena and like did try to like spare her, because like for me, right, like she killed her boyfriend, but really the whole time that she was like with him was because she wanted that extra lessons and she wanted that information, and like it was a means to an end for her, so it was never really like that kind of connection. And kind of you hear the same thing about like everybody else there, like she doesn't really have a connection with anybody like that, and Celaena was the only one that she did have that connection with. And so then she was like, oh, I like still need to do this because she's trying to avenge her family and everything, right? And I get her, I feel for her, right? But also like girl it's not
like the whole time. Something else that like a little like connection, when Celaena she goes up to the caravan and stuff and she sees Bob Yellowlegs, and she like
Yes.
freezes up and she's like, oh fuck, you know, and
Yeah,
she
yeah,
like
yeah,
she
yeah.
remembers, she's like, I had a friend who told me this story about her little like her friend and her little sister, and she got like eaten alive, you know, and then it was Ansel, her little friend, you know, and like
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say is like we got a lot more witch lore in
yeah,
this one
I
too. Like you
love
get a
that
lot of
too.
that. And then I love that the master of the silent assassins is the one who gave her all of the coins to pay off her debt
yes,
to Arabin, and his little give him the message that we do not abuse our
yes,
disciples. Go up, king. Like,
no,
yes.
yes,
And that, like, he said that she would always have a home there.
yeah,
Just so nice.
and I love
Which
the little
actually
like.
was,
Go ahead.
it's where I thought that they were going to go, like, when they were talking in, is it the next one, or is it the one after that they're talking about leaving Rifthold?
It's toward I
I
think
think
that
it's the
towards
next
the
one.
end of the next one.
So like that's where I kind of thought maybe that they would go because they are both trained assassins, and like he said that she could always come back there, and like that would be a very like I don't know, good way to go, but obviously we kind of know how things ended, but that's what I thought they were going to be planning to do, but yeah. So sad.
And then
Ooh, the Asterian mare. I like on Kale's birthday when Dorian gave him
Yes.
the horse,
yes,
and
like, I
she had
stole
like
one
all that
once.
stuff. Yeah, she was like, I stole one once. I was like, I read that. I was like, because
I
they
know,
were
I
like,
was so
"How do you know
excited about
anything
that.
horses? Like, how do you know
Yeah.
this stuff? Like, who are you?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
love
Love
that.
it. And I loved. I don't know which story this was in, but this just made me think of the fact, she told Kale who she was. Or, well, she gave
Yes.
Kale enough information to
Yes.
figure out who she was, and Sam was just like, I trust you to tell me, like, whenever
Yeah,
he
Yes.
said, I know when you feel like you can trust me enough, you will tell
yeah,
me. And part of me is just like, she really did trust you the whole time, dude.
yeah,
It is.
She was
It's
struggling
this
to
next one. It's the
understand.
assassin in the underworld because that was one thing that I wanted to talk about was like that she didn't tell Sam, but she did tell Kale, or like like she
she never
gave
got the
him
chance to tell
enough.
someone.
I know. I know. No, that's not true. Technically, she did have a chance
Well,
to. She
yeah,
just
yeah,
wasn't
She chose
ready.
not
yeah,
to.
She wasn't ready, which I get. I'm not like
Yeah.
faulting her for not telling
yeah,
Sam.
No, no,
I'm just
no,
saying
not at
like
all.
it does kind of show like the depth of that relationship with Kale, because we already kind of knew, because right when Kale was kidnapped, there's this like moment of she's like, if anything happened to Kale, nobody's coming out alive, right? Like,
yeah. And
and
there's like
she's just
she references Sam so many times in that scene where he's kidnapped.
Yep.
Like
yes,
it like I like was
Like
highlighting so much.
reading
She's
that,
like
like,
she's
see,
like
I
not
listened to the
again.
majority of that. Like I
Yeah.
listened to the majority of that on the way home tonight,
mm-hmm.
from dropping mom and taking off and picking up food. And so like having like him talk, like hearing like the narrator like talking about it was so
Oh
different than
yeah,
reading it. Like, because like all I could think about like was that scene where Kale was kidnapped, and like how
Yeah.
Celaena didn't waste like
yeah,
2 seconds before she like went after Kale
Yeah.
once she figured it out, whereas she spent, um whereas she spent you did a movement, and the thumbs up in the bubble reaction happened.
Oh, rubbing my eye.
I know, but the camera picked it up as a reaction, and that's
Yeah.
it. Kalen's face was like, what?
yeah,
But anyways, yeah, as opposed to, like, she did things so differently with Kale
Yeah.
because of what she
yeah,
did to Sam.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I
Well, also
love
like yeah, also like so this is where we get her coming back, and she's like so angry, and she's like, I'm going to set myself free, and we find out that she bought the apartment before she left, right? And now she has all this money to buy him out, and she's ready to like basically tell him off, right? Like, fuck you, Arabin, I'm not with
And
you.
can I
And then
mention in the will that Kale finds in Crown of Midnight. She leaves him all of her money in some apartment in a warehouse in Rifthold. And it was her
Oh
and Sam's
yeah,
apartment.
yeah.
She was leaving it to Kale. Yeah.
Yeah, so she goes into like the office to meet with him, and then Arabin is like completely ignoring her, and like I can I just know the exact feeling that she had, which is like she feels so powerful and she feels so in control for probably the first time in like this whole relationship with Arabin, right? And then he just ignores her, and it makes
So
her feel like this
dismissive.
little kid, and like she just
Yep.
knows like I'm not going to get anywhere with him because it's like on his time, and like I'm so powerless with with this relationship, and like it perfectly works for Arabin, right? In that he resets this dynamic, and like immediately she's back into this, and we see this because she takes so long to then come and tell him that, you know, she's buying out her contract.
Yeah.
And I think this is where we find out that like he gives her a job for what he makes her believe is like a guy
Stopping
selling
the slave
out.
trade.
Well, she thinks that he's like going to sell out people that are trying to stop it, but really he's one of the people that's like trying to stop it and like have safe houses and stuff for that, and he doesn't reveal that until she's finished the job. And I think had he not done that, which I know this is like a power move for him, in that he's like, I can make you do whatever I want you to do and you're at my mercy. But Celaena, that was the straw that broke the camel's back, because she was like, I can't believe I've done this. Like, I can't believe you made me do this. And she had the means to buy herself out, right? And like she could move and everything. And I think had he not done that, I think she would have been under his thumb for quite a lot longer.
Yeah.
But because of that decision, like that set up everything into motion. And then I love the fact that she bought out Sam's contract too.
Yes.
Yeah. Just like,
I love it.
fuck you.
I do want to say, whenever they were talking about moving, and Sam brought up going to another continent, and she was like, what's wrong with this continent? Like, why would we go somewhere we know nothing about? She's like, I was talking about moving somewhere like Benjali or wherever, and then she said Annie Island. I was like, ooh, Kale. Oh,
yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, ooh.
And
Is this
there
the
was a
one?
reference. There was a reference at one point when she was looking out toward the castle. She brought up the tower with the balcony
Yeah.
and the creeping ivory. I was just like, oh, Dorian!
Yes.
Except that's
I was
when
gonna say.
him and Kale were being him and Kale along the coast.
Yeah. This is the one where Sam buys her the sheet music.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I love. One, it just shows, like, how much she's always had a love for music and everything like that, too. But, two, like, my little heart of, like, him getting that. And, like, this is before he's told her that he's, like, in love with her, right? And so, like, you see this and you're like, girl, come on.
Yeah.
Also, Lysandra's here. And that... Arabin and Lysandra's icky. Gross.
The fact that he used her money to pay
I was
for
so
Lysandra
mad.
night.
So mad.
Ooh.
Because I literally said, where is it? I have a note about it.
There's a point where you even mentioned it in an episode where like she referenced he immediately spent all the money.
Yes, yeah.
And I was just sitting there like, ugh, I can't wait for them to find out how he spent it.
This whole
so
thing is like
ridiculous.
so like layered to me. One, because he like knows the dynamic between Celaena and Lysandra, and that like Celaena and Lysandra do not get along, and so one, he knows like that would be even more of a hit to her, that like he's using her money to like pay for Lysandra. And then he makes a comment, which I haven't found the exact quote, but the comment is something like, why would I not like reap the reward of all of my investment into her career so far? Which just icky, one, because she's the same age as Celaena, but two, it really, like, Sarah did a great job, because when you're first introduced to Arabin, right, it has this like father figure, like step in, that Celaena is talking about, but like this really shifts it to like weird scorned lover type things, and like creepy.
She's like, we never defined a role between us, father, brother, lover, and it was like, ooh.
Ooh. I know, I was like, ooh, you were literally 9, okay? Please don't.
But I mean, like, that goes back to the Lysandra thing. Like, she was really young too whenever he started investing in her.
They were the
and that's
same
what makes
age.
It, like, double icky.
That they were the same age, which is what Sarah is painting for us, right? Is that really Arabin has been grooming Celaena this whole time, and he's now mad that she is not under his thumb anymore, and he can't reap that reward anymore, and right?
He knows that she's the queen of Terrasen, you know, like the long lost princess. Yeah. And so he's sitting there thinking, like, you know, there's no way that's not going to the back of his head. Like, she's the long lost princess. There's something in this for me in the long run, you know?
Yeah.
But also,
and the
like,
idea is, like,
her not being there and Adderlyn, like, the king still being there. I don't know why I said Adderlyn, but the king still being where he's at, like, is also a major thing for Arobin too, because then that means, like, everything stays straight and narrow. Like, he doesn't have to worry about, like, her rising up to where she's supposed to be, because, like, this is her life, and, like, she can't leave this life. Like, they've even talked about that. Her family even talked about that with the guild and everything like that. Like, she would have never been able to leave, regardless of who she was, because of the situation that she was in.
Yeah.
But I do see, like, why she did have such a taste for lavish things. Like, I think, like, part of that comes from her having been royalty and being raised that way, and then, like, Arobin kind of kept that going with the gifts and everything.
So. I was gonna say the same thing. Like, Arobin really fed that in and everything, and like, I just, this one was so heart-wrenching too at the same time, because like you have Sam talking to her about like the fact that she's let Arobin like right back into how he was, and she let that dynamic like re-up after everything that happened, and like even after she finds out that Sam was beaten just as badly as she was, right? She's like asking about it, and he's like, you know, he just buys you a couple of trinkets, and then like that's how he earns your forgiveness or something like that. And she's like, well, you're still here, so how did he earn your forgiveness? And then he drops the bomb that is like that he never hurt you like that again.
Yeah,
I know, like that, like I granted him forgiveness if he promised to never like hurt you like that again, which I was like, yes, I love you. And then like her almost drowning in the sewer and like begging him to take her body back to Terrasen, which I just was like, oh, baby.
Yeah, and that's another reason I'm glad we read this third, because like I could not have had that anxiety about like whether she lived or not on my conscience.
Imagine it's like a Game of Thrones opening where your main character dies. Like, oh my gosh.
Did you guys catch her dancing with someone?
No.
Wait, she dances with Dorian.
What?
When she goes to that ball, she dances with Dorian.
God.
Was that him?
I'm like, wait, am I tripping? Am I thinking of this?
Wait. I knew she was dancing at the ball. I didn't think that it was him.
Which one was that? Which story?
It's the story that we're on right now because it's Lysandra's ball, right?
Oh, yeah. Convoy will be here for a week. Okay, here's that.
Okay, so the map. Oh, okay. I found it. It's like 283, Meg.
Oh god.
Because she
okay, I'm way
asks.
off. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's see. My name is Wind and Rain and Bone and Dust.
Yes, yeah.
Sapphire Eyes.
Yeah, dark-haired youth. Yeah. Oh, I did not catch that.
I didn't. If I
And so
would have
then you take it
catched...
back to Throne of Glass, and he's like, I don't think I've had the pleasure of meeting you before in like chapter 2, and it's like,
yeah.
But then we also have to think about the fact that like not only that, but like at some point they probably did meet when they were kids.
Yeah.
Too, because I mean like the noble house
that face means yeah, you'll find out later. You'll find out later.
I did like that though. My name is Wind and Rain and Bone and Dust. My name is a snippet of a half-remembered song. I love that.
I'll call you mine for a dance or two.
Okay, Dorian, you can call me whatever.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even.
I was like, ooh.
It wasn't even mine. Like it wasn't even just the word mine. It was like capital M to fit with Wind and Rain and Bone and Dust. And I was just like, oh, okay. All right, Dorian, whatever you want. I know
Okay.
We don't know it's you, but we know it's you now. Like
we're getting to the point of where I was when I messaged you, by the way. So it's when they're talking about moving. And wait.
Wait, Bronze Eyes. Is that Kale?
Yeah, it's Kale and Dorian.
Well, but there was like 4 of them.
Yeah, but I'm meaning like
it's like in that moment,
Kale and Dorian,
and
then
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But winked at Celaena before he disappeared into the crowd.
Yeah.
Wait. What if that's why he got her from Endovir?
Well, he doesn't remember her.
Okay, it's not in this one. I think it's in the next one. Because... What did I say? I was like 50 pages away. Yeah, because they're talking about like moving, and she sells... do you say Casita or Casita?
I said Casita.
In my head I said Cassida.
I'm gonna hold on. I'm actually gonna go
look at it.
Tell me what chapter. No, I'm gonna listen to how Elizabeth Evans says it in the Audible.
There you go.
Because also it's Arobin Hamel, by the way, not Hamel, and it's Otterlin.
Yeah,
that's how Elizabeth pronounces it, not Adderlin.
Yeah.
Okay, the quote that I was thinking of from Arobin was, "Why shouldn't I enjoy Lysandra after all these years of investing in her career? And why do you care what I do with my own money? From what I've heard, you have Sam now. Both of you are free of me."
I'm sorry. It was what I needed.
Yes, very icky.
It was what I needed to make me tell him I was leaving him. Sam gave a nod of approval.
No, further back.
Further back. I'm so glad you can hear that.
Mm-hmm.
I heard what he did. Perfectly clear that she could never win. To distract her from that miserable thought, Celaena had then spent the whole day sending servants between the keep and her apartment, fetching all...
Nope, further back.
Nope, you're good. Like, I'm just, like, kind of going back a couple of minutes.
That your gold went a long, long way.
Oh, yes. Okay, here.
Slowly turned. Lysandra smirked at her. Fast as lightning, Celaena hurled a dagger. The blade embedded itself into the wooden railing a hair's breadth from Lysandra's head. Lysandra began screaming, but Celaena just walked out of the front doors, across the lawn of the keep, and kept walking until the capital swallowed her up. Celaena sat on the edge of her roof, looking out across the city. The convoy from Melisande had already left, taking the last of the rain clouds with them. Some of them wore black to mourn Donoval's death. Leifer Bardingale had ridden Cassida, prancing down the main avenue. Unlike those in mourning colors,
Okay.
Okay, wait, I didn't read that as Melisande. I, like, put, like, a little A at the end. Melisande.
I know, that's why I love listening to, like, the Audible, too, because, like, then you get to hear, like, how they're pronouncing it, because I'm pretty sure, like, they get that from the author, like, how to pronounce it, so.
Yeah.
But I also love hearing how everybody else pronounces it.
Yeah.
But the Hommel thing, for me, the Otterland makes sense. That makes sense, because, like, it's a place, like, but Hommel, that threw me off. But also, like, anybody else that has a name that starts with, like, H-A-M, it's A. Like, John Hamm.
It's
Ham.
It's Ham.
It's Ham.
It's
That'll be the name
Ham.
of the episode. It's Ham.
Okay, now we're getting to the point of all of our sadness. Okay, so, like, obviously,
I knew it was coming, and I still hated it. And didn't
what
want it to
happened. I know.
Didn't want it to happen.
Okay, so part of the things that I'm, like, so sad about, one, is, like, you find out that she wasn't there because he specifically requested for her not to be his backup, and that he was going to do it by himself because he wanted her as far away from him, you know, like, Farron Rourke, as possible. And I'm just like, Sam, no. Also, like, when they came up with the, like, you know, he finds the job, it's 2 months of them, like, not getting anything, and he's going to these fights in the vaults, and, like, someone comes up to him and doesn't want to go with the guild, and, like, wants to go after these 2 crime lords. I'm like, Sam, use your fucking head, please.
And then he gets mad at her for asking questions, like,
I know.
Legit? I'm just like, first of all, this is Celaena. She's made it where she's made it, like, regardless of, like, Arobyn's special interest in her, like, just the way she thinks.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, there was 2 sides to it, though, for Sam, though, and, like, I do kind of, like, and they talk, like, Celaena talks about that, like, part of it is because, like, he's always had to live in her shadow.
Yeah.
In a way. And,
Yeah,
he wanted to do something for, like, he wanted to do this himself, and, like, I get that, but, like, take backup, dude. Take backup. Like, I get it. You don't want to see, like, you don't want the woman you care about to be in a sticky situation. Like, I get it, but, like, your girlfriend is literally the best fucking assassin in the area. Like, why not?
I just saw a TikTok, like, the other day, and, you know, like, the night before, he says, I love you, and Celaena says, I hate packing, and someone said, I'm never complaining about packing again, because when Celaena complained about packing, look what happened. It was like...
Yeah, oh, I know. And then, like you said, this is the point where we see, there's a lot of, like, I don't know, like, pre-planning from Arobyn that's, like, a lot of, like, foreshadowing for us, obviously. Because, like, I always had the suspicion that it was Arobyn. And, like, even though you find out that he's got, like, other assassins, I'm like, other proteges underneath him, you're like, I don't know. And, like, they go to him to, you know, like, they talk about asking to leave the guild. And, like, in that first chapter, it ends with, like, would Arobyn let them leave? Which, like... No. And then they go and ask, and, like, he's, like, drawing out the answer and kind of stuff like that, and then he happens to give the exact amount of money that's in Celaena's bank account.
Yeah.
Which, like, to me is, like, he still has control over that, and he, like, still has, which makes him, like, showing up to the apartment, like, not surprising, because that to me is like he still knows everything about her and everything that's going on, and, like, there's other people that are under his thumb that she thinks, like, she can trust, that obviously, like, isn't the case or whatever. And then I think, you know, part of the thing with Sam wanting to go by himself is, like, Celaena has now paid for him to, like, buy out his contract, and now she's paying for him to like not be a part of the guild anymore, and he's feeling like he's not contributing very much, and that like she's doing all of this work, and like this is his ticket to like provide for her as well, right? And then obviously it doesn't go the way that we intend, but the part that I messaged you at, Fairy, was when they're talking about moving to the different continent, or like out of Rifthold in general, and she says, oh, actually, just kidding. It's after Arabin comes and like talks to her about not having told Sam about her true origin and stuff like that, right? And so then he comes home and she asks him to tell her his like a secret, or like his darkest secret or something like that, biggest secret maybe, and then she says hers is that she's a coward and that she's like terrified, and then he says my name is Sam Cortland and I will not be afraid, and I was like, that's where that fucking comes from. Yeah. Like, knowing how it ends, right? So I'm like sitting there and I was like, no, how are you going to give this to me right now? Yeah, so it's the deep down, I'm a coward. I'm a coward and I'm scared. I'm scared all the time, always. And he says, I get scared too. Want to hear something ridiculous? Whenever I'm scared out of my wits, I tell myself, my name is Sam Cortland, and I will not be afraid. I've been doing it for years. And then, you know, like in the next chapter, she's like, maybe I'll try your little trick. And I was like, no. That's when I like sent the picture of myself crying to Fairy. And she asked if I had finished yet, and I was like, no, I've got like 50 pages left, I think was where I was at that point or something. And then so sad. I fucking knew it was Arabin though, and
and we already had those suspicions, and like so did Celaena too, like after she had gotten out of Endovir and like had time like away from everything, and like just trying to figure out how she was going to navigate like her life within the court because of like how things had gone, especially with like all the slaves and like hearing about the rebellions and stuff from people who had been sent to Endovir, and like guards talking and everything. And then this just kind of really made us wonder why, more so than like who, I think. And I liked having that question. Like I liked having the question of, okay, something's gonna happen, like something big about Arabin is gonna be revealed. Like what is it?
Yeah. I mean,
and I'm glad that we were right about it. It's not surprising at all, but the why, like
even that's not that surprising to me either. Because I don't like sharing my belongings.
Yeah, in one episode, you mentioned that you thought maybe he did it because like he was jealous of her and Sam. Like you even like mentioned that at one point.
Yeah,
and I was like,
he was.
You're like, God damn. This is what I mean by like I clock shit early, because like that's just something that like I sit and I like think of as like a potential for. I think that was in Throne of Glass. Like I think that was initially kind of one of our
like late,
not
like
the
late.
It was it might have even been in the first episode because we were talking about it when she meets the king and she mentioned she's comparing it to Arabin and yeah.
Oh yeah. So like I just kind of thought about that, and then you know like obviously that's something for me at least that like as you go through I'm like looking for more evidence about that, right? And then obviously you get to this point where like they are in their own apartment and they're trying to leave the guild, and I was like, oh, it's fucking Arabin for sure, and this is exactly why like she's leaving his grip and like he can't help it, and like yeah. So I will say like I liked the way that they paced this, right? In that you get her being caught, and then you get to see like Kale trying to race back to the castle, but like he won't get there in time to see her. And then, you know, like all of these kind of like near misses of them together, you know, type thing. And like it makes so much sense that like he's kind of like shocked that she's just a girl, you know, type thing, that like this notorious. And then I do like kind of like seeing the sentencing of her to Endovier, and like that she'll have 9 lives worth of labor, and you'll be sent there with orders to keep you alive for as long as possible just to enjoy the agony. And then the stag.
The stag at the end.
The Lord of the North. Oh. I know. I was like...
That really makes the cover make sense now.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm trying to
like
remember what the
men.
original cover looks like.
Yeah. And then... So sad. I just... my heart breaks. Even though we know. Also, are you ready... Are you ready, Meg, for the damage?
The original Assassin's Blade cover was blue with white behind her, and she's got her cloak on and her hair down and like blades out. So
okay, yeah, I know that.
Okay, Meg, I'm putting it in the group chat in Discord.
Okay, I'll go look at it in a second, because we didn't talk about like actually in depth the conversation between him and Ferran.
Oh, is it pronounced Ferran? I just pronounced shit wrong my whole time, dude.
I mean, that's how it's pronounced on Audible, and that's just kind of like whenever I hear it, like that's the pronunciation that I go with.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I think that they get like the pronunciation.
Honestly, for me,
Sarah, so
it's like, however
Sarah,
I like first, however I first read it, I'm like, that's it forever in my brain. I'm so sorry. Like, even if I know that it like later isn't, I'm like, I'm so sorry. Or if I disagree, like if I'm like, okay, I see that you say it's pronounced that way, but that's a stupid way to pronounce it, and I'm not doing that. I had that happen with like a book I read in that advent calendar that I did. It was like Margie instead of Margie, like Margie, and it was pronounced Margie, and I was like, that's dumb. It's Margie. Like, I'm not doing that. Margie. So sorry. Like, it's literally that Nick Fury gif of like, I acknowledge that the council has made a decision, but given that it's a stupid ass decision, like I elected to ignore it. I'm like, no.
But what conversation were you talking about though?
The very, very end, whenever he's like, I don't share my belongings or whatever. And like him and Ferran, they're on the rooftop and they're talking about like her sentencing and everything like that. And like, I'm just like, what is his long game? Like, there's a reason she was sent to Endovier and not executed. And that's because of Arobin. Like, given, yes, she was set up by Arobin. But like...
Yeah. I'm thinking that he thought, like... Here's my thought process.
To rescue her?
I think that he was intending for her to go to Endovier, be, like, quote-unquote broken, and then he gets to swoop in and be her savior, and then, like, that dynamic starts all over again. She's indebted to him. There's no Sam. There's no risk of her leaving. Like, I think that's 100% what it is this is a punishment for her for defying him and for thinking that she could ever leave him.
Yeah.
And, like, I am positive we will see him again. Like, he will come back and, like, now that she's out and, like, stuff like that. But I think it won't end the way that he thinks it will. So, yeah.
I don't know. I'm excited to read the rest of it and to see like what all happens. Like she's over there like with that little evil
She's over there like, will you?
She's just like, I want to say so many things right now, but I can't.
I am ready to keep reading and find out more.
Also, can we just like talk about how like fucking devastating the scene of her seeing Sam's body is? Like,
yes.
I heard it.
Meg.
I listened to it.
Go look. Go look right now.
Okay. I'm scared. I'm scared because I know I'm being recorded. I know because I'm gonna I gotta do this first because like I gotta do like the.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's still like, because she like, it's literally so accurate to the way like it was described. Like she lays her cloak down over him and then climbs on top of him and like, you know.
It's so sad.
And then she follows that up with, and he smelled like cheap soap because she wouldn't let him use her expensive soap. Like, stop. and then she sends me TikToks about it.
Oh, what was the TikTok I sent?
Yeah, I haven't even watched those that she sent yet.
I haven't sent any of the AB ones to you. It was about how the whole time he was being tortured, he was probably laying there thinking like, Celaena's gonna come for me. She's gonna come for me, and like, my name is Sam, and I will not be afraid. You know. And,
yes.
Like, she never comes.
Heartbreaking. Yeah. I was like, that's so much worse. Like, stop.
This makes like a lot of her with Kale and like Dorian and like her fear of relationships in general, because like this was a lot. This was a lot. Like, she found somebody she loved, who loved her for her, and he fucking dies because of a psychopath.
And then I bring up in Crown of Midnight when Archer says like, Rourke was one of my clients and he said that killing Sam was the most fun he ever had. And
yes.
She like loses it on him.
Yes. I will say I did like immediately like message Barry during this too and say, she's kind of got bad luck with relationships. They don't last very long. So I was like, God damn, this.
Not just romantic relationships either. I mean, her parents, her friends. Like, no wonder she wants to just like run away and hide. Like, give her a break, Bohemia.
She said two
we
friends.
Have to break her more.
She said two friends.
Not enough.
She said two friends. One betrayed her, and one died. Like, horribly.
But the one that died, I will say, is probably like the best friend that she could have had, that she needed in the moment.
Yes.
To be who she was, and like, I don't know.
But very short-lived, right? We're talking like 2-3 months max, right? Like,
no, it was longer than that, because she'd been at Endovir for a little over a year before Dorian came and picked her, and then Nehemia came shortly after she came there.
Mm-hmm.
And
actually, I'm thinking it's more like 6 months, because it was 2 months between the end of Throne of Glass and the start of Crown of Midnight.
Yeah.
But like the competition was only like a month. Ish.
Was it? No, it was longer than a month.
It was a few months, because he said he'd come back around Christmas-ish, right?
Yulmus, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of when they picked her up. Yeah, there's timelines and stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah, people do
but like,
I don't know, the timeline between like the beginning. Well, I don't want to say anything, so I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know if you guys want to know how long everything actually spans over or not. Yeah.
Meh.
I want to take away the intrigue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's see. So she's 17, she's sent to the salt mines. So she hasn't turned...
Well, she turned 17 when she's in the desert.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was like,
She makes a mention.
the span of Assassin's Blade is, what, 2 months? No, longer than that, because the desert was 1 whole month.
Were you just trying to figure out how long Kael and Celaena were together?
No.
No, Nehemia.
Okay.
Nehemia and Celaena, like how long their friendship was.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna... Yeah, it doesn't help me.
The tournament lasted 13 weeks. So that's 3 months. Then the 2-month break, and then I think it's only about a month before Nehemia dies. So about 6 months. So still not very long in the grand scheme of things. Like crazy.
And the Crown of
I do kind of like seeing like in series like the time span of things, because like usually a lot is happening and you think it's like over more time period than it is, and then you find out that it's so abbreviated, because like they talk about, isn't it Deathly Hallows, it's like the span of 2 days, something like that.
Yeah.
What's the span of 2 days?
Deathly Hallows.
Like the book as a whole?
Uh-huh.
I don't think so, because it talks about I thought it talked about in the book about how they were on the run for a few months. Because they were
Was that Deathly Hallows? It might be the part 2. Okay. Yeah. So no, it's like the second half. Yeah. But overall, the whole book is 17 days.
Yeah.
For Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. But like someone was talking about this with like Breaking Dawn with Twilight. It's like a very short period of time.
Even just all of Twilight is really a short period. But yeah.
Yeah.
Except for when, and this, I'm going to reference the movie here, except for when she's sitting in the chair facing the window and is just going zoom, zoom.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I thought was a really cool way to like visually bring that from the book to life, because like in the book,
yes, I think so too.
Titles that you like skip past, kind of thing.
September,
which I mean,
October, November,
yeah, which I think is really cool, because it's like whenever you think about like where she was like grief-wise in that moment, that's kind of how it, like everything in those months is a blur. Like,
okay, yeah. So it's Deathly Hallows Part 2, the movie. All the events depicted in Deathly Hallows Part 2 span approximately 2 days. It's mainly the final battle, which is within a single day, and then the aftermath, which is the following day, right?
Yeah.
Obviously not counting epilogue, but yeah. Like epilogue that stuff, like everything that happens within that time frame, like it makes it feel like it's stretched way more than it is, but it literally being 2 days and you're like, okay. And like I feel like sometimes that's really nice, like after you read through it and you kind of have an idea of like how long it takes, then you like actually go and like see exactly how long it's taking. I think it's really interesting when you can see like the time span that things take and like just how much is packed into that, because we kind of have like already joked that the last 100 pages of like a SJM book is just like shit hitting the fan. Like everything's happening, right? And like to know that that's like such an abbreviated point of time and stuff too.
Let's see. Let me look at my general questions. Which story out of it was your favorite and your least favorite?
I think you know which one's our least favorite, okay? Rude. My favorite. I like the desert one, even though she gets like betrayed and all of that stuff happens. I really, really liked learning about the other assassins. I liked like the idea of her learning from the desert animals and like, you know,
Yeah.
making her body work the same way. I even liked the little flirtation with Elias, and then like her, like him going to kiss her and her being like no, and then like realizing that it's because she likes Sam. And like um and yeah, I did really like that. I did also like the healer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, those two were really big like character points for Celaena. Like the
Yeah.
desert, the one in the desert, like you see like a lot of character growth in her.
Yeah.
Like you see her mercy that she's capable of giving when necessary
Yes.
because she recognized a part of her in Ansel. And
Yeah.
like she
Well, like
recognized why she was doing what she was doing, and like it really had nothing to do with the master like behind her or anything like that. Like it that was genuinely who Celaena was. Like she was like, I hear your
yeah.
story, I see where you came from, I see why you turned out the way that you are. This is your chance to fucking fix it. If I
Also,
see you
not
in
just
your
that,
head.
like her mercy is not just like her not killing Ansel in that moment, right? When she
Yeah.
very obviously
Oh,
could
yeah.
have,
So she gave
but
21.
like
Oh,
yes,
I
that's what I
love
was gonna
that.
say. It's her giving the her father's sword back to her, which like obviously is very important. And then like she goes up to shoot the arrow like she said, and she gives 21 minutes instead of 20. And when you
Yes.
like see how close the arrow was, that context of her giving 21 minutes instead of 20 is so important and just shows like
Yeah.
how much like mercy she really has and like how much empathy she really has, right? And like because she really does understand and she does know like okay, I get why you've made these decisions, but like I still wouldn't have made them kind of thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And giving her a chance to like redeem herself kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Um so I mean,
I kind of hope
very
we see her
interesting.
too. Like just because like it would be really
I
cool.
do too.
Like even if it's like a negative turnout for her, you know, like she doesn't ever like get her head on straight. Because I mean she's been influenced by this lord, right?
Mm-hmm.
And part of me kind of wonders like what else has been happening behind closed doors in those meetings in a way. Like
Yeah.
if it's like a grooming type situation.
I
I
don't
don't
know that
know.
it's just that. What I'll say
No,
is
I
I
guess
think
I'm
that
wondering
she.
if that was like an extra tack on. You know what I mean? Like just more
Yeah.
like, lord over her to like make her cooperate for sure and like threaten her and like
Mm-hmm.
you do this and I'll do this like but then I need you to do this. Like he just keeps adding on things for her to need to do for him to actually comply and cooperate. And that just kind of breaks my heart for her because she never really found a connection until Celaena.
What I'll say is I think she came, you know, with the sole intention of like training to go and like get revenge, right, for her family. Which, like, I get it. Like, tons of people have other ulterior motives. But then I think what happened was like she just got so like disdainful of the fact that the master wasn't choosing her, right? And
Yeah.
she became so like
Oh
um
yeah, 100.
I can't think of the word, but you know like it's just like that anger kind of building inside of her. And so then she's like doing these tasks and I think she like feels like it's demeaning that she has to go and like deliver these messages to this lord that's like fighting them, right? And then I
Right.
think she's so angry and maybe it's like after a couple times of this or something to that effect. But she's so angry with the master that then that lord kind of either sees this as an advantage, or maybe she says something that makes him see it as an advantage, and he decides that like he can use her in order to get into the assassins. And like, because he hasn't been making any progress, right? He's been, we see this, right? Like he's tried various different tactics, and he like
hasn't see the firewall.
He hasn't made a dent, right? And so he needs somebody on the inside, and he needs this to do this, right? And like the fact that like then Celaena notices that the ring was missing, right? That he didn't have his seal ring. And like, oh, she's consistently the one that's communicating. And then like we kind of find out that like this is kind of intentional on the master's part, because he's trying to see like what kind of person she is, right? Because when you think about when he decides to take Celaena on and start training her, it's after they've stolen the mares, and Celaena says that it was her idea, right? Because he's seeing that she's willing to like sacrifice for other people, especially coming from Celaena's environment, where if she had taken responsibility for that with Arabin, she would have been, you know, like severely punished, right? So him having that context of like what that means for her to take that responsibility too is like even more so why he decided to like train her, right? And I think he's very much of the intention of like, I'm only going to give this skill to people who are going to use it well, and not like, you know, in their own anger and stuff like that. And I mean,
it's okay to want revenge in a way, you know what I mean? Like, to be fair, Celaena does too, for multiple things now. But like her biggest thing is like she's wanted to get that justice back for Terrason, you know what I mean? Like she's wanted to like figure out how to fix the situation and for her homeland and all that. But like, and that's where I was like, Ansel shows like a different picture of like the same out, like her, Sam, Celaena, even Lysandra were all kind of in situations where, and this also helped me kind of garner a deeper empathy for Caltaine too in the later books. Like, even though Caltaine wasn't necessarily affected by the king's decisions to like desecrate places, basically, she still got like people lording power over her. Like she's still stuck in like this ridiculous power dynamic situation, like no matter which way she turns. Like it's either, and I think that's why she wanted to marry Dorian so bad, because she knew Dorian wasn't the same as that, but it would also put her in such a position that like nobody else would be able to say anything to her because she would have all the power then. And that's kind of what I see from Ansel, is that she's looking for that power to be able to say, this is what I have. And then we have people like Celaena and Sam who do have a particular type of power, but they're still at somebody's beck and call. And same for Lysandra. Lysandra has power because she's a virgin, she's a courtesan, like she's got all this, you know, all these wiles about her, but she's still at the beck and call of Arobin and Clarice. Clarice because she's her madam, Arobin because he's invested in her, and now he's bought her. For however long he deems fit. So it's just, Sarah's done a really, really good job at showing the different power dynamics, and especially like Cale and his father too, now that I think about it.
There's a lot of good stuff. And she does it like kind of like you said, like the same, you know, different sides of the same coin, right? So you're seeing that not just with Ansel in the way that she responded, but then also kind of like we talked about with Irene, of like that's who Celaena could have been, and you're seeing that kind of like reflection, and you're seeing that kind of carried throughout. And so Sarah's just her writing is amazing. I love it. Thank you.
I love that note too that she gives.
Yes.
I read
Yeah,
for
that was
whatever you need, and then some. The world needs more healers.
Yeah.
I do also want to point out that we didn't talk about this, like, or bring it up. How Celaena used the spider silk on Sam's suit.
That's what I was about to bring up too.
Yes.
There's so much like
yeah.
witch lore we got, and like I just want to like I could talk all day about it. It's so interesting. But yeah, the spider silk from the
The
that
person
guy.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
spider for
Yes.
at some point
Yes.
traded like what 20 years of his life for
Yeah.
it. So like
Mhm.
now she's supposed to go find the spider in the midst of saving all of Airly. Like that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Add it in, like just take a detour and like add that in. If
Yeah.
I really, really hope we see that kind of come to fruition again, like or like see something
Mhm.
come of that, like see that person come back in because I think that would be really cool.
If not, there's fanfic. Like I'm sure someone has written it.
I know. I don't know. It's really hard for me to pick a favorite because they're all important.
Mhm.
I think if I had to pick like a least favorite though, it would probably be hmm, it would probably be the pirate one. Like I know that's the one that sets everything in motion and like all of that, but like I think as far as like things that happen, it feels like it could have been shorter, and I think it even is one of the shorter ones, but like I don't know. Like I feel like
Yeah. This was
Sarah
Yeah.
could have just like
significant.
I feel like Sarah could have just like introed into like two with like the ending of one in a way.
I'm
Like it could have
wondering.
been woven in. It feels like it could have been like a woven in story because you know it's something that also carried throughout the rest of them in a way. So I don't
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
It's just the one that didn't stick with me the most. And like I did like Rolf. Like he made me giggle. And like the tattoo thing was really cool, but like as far as like compared to 2, 3, 4, and 5, it just didn't
Yeah.
have the
Yeah,
same
I'm
for me.
wondering if, or like my kind of theory is because he's still alive and like she made him agree to that stuff, that like he'll come back and we'll see him later in some capacity, possibly. But
Do we know the name of the ship she gets on?
The name of what?
ah, the ship she gets on at the end of Crown of Midnight.
Oh.
Okay,
Um,
not that. Not that. Because like so much has happened between now and then, like between then and now, like I wonder like if she would even remember. You know what I mean? But this also makes me like a little bit more iffy about like Roland and like his role and everything too.
Yeah.
Like
I was gonna
back into power dynamics and stuff like that.
I was gonna say like we could do like a little like the word I'm looking for. Just kind of like check in with like where all the characters are at before we go back into Air of Fire, because like
mm-hmm.
I feel like everyone ended up in such different places there at the end. Like the Duke and Roland and Caltaine all left for. I don't remember what they said in this one.
Hold on, I'll look.
I don't remember if they say like Morath or the Ferry and Gap or where they say they went.
No, it wasn't the Ferrying Gap, but it was. Oh, it doesn't say.
Oh wait.
No, it doesn't. I was looking to see if it said the name of the ship, but it doesn't.
But like now, if what was it? It was the Loveless and what in Assassin's Blade?
Let me find it. The Golden Wolf. Yeah. Yeah. So Celaena is on her way to Gwendolyn.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Dorian is obviously home.
Yeah.
Same
and
with
he
Kale.
knows.
No, Kale's going back.
Well,
He
no, because he
promises-
had said he promised his father, but he never said when he would return.
Yeah.
Valid, that's true.
And she has to, like, Yulbus again.
Yeah. So,
And, yeah, he made that promise with his dad. And then Dorian knows... He doesn't know that she's Fae still.
yes, yeah. Kale
So-
knows that she's Fae. Dorian doesn't know. Dorian
Celaena knows
has
Dorian
magic.
is magic.
Yeah,
Kale
Kale doesn't know, but he suspects.
Yeah.
She gave the Eye of Elena to Kale.
Yeah.
Which I think is,
Um,
again, just kind of like because this is something that she can't control, and like she's obviously still kind of pissed at him for it. But like she knows she can't be there to protect him, so it's just like she feels stuck, and like she's doing what she can to protect him.
Yeah.
More echoes of and that makes the quote hit way different too. The when you do, I want you to remember that it wouldn't have made any difference to me. It's never made any difference to me when it came to you. I'd still pick you. I'll always pick you. Like,
Yeah.
this girl gets
they went to
fast, though.
Morath.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
so the Duke of Parrington, Calton, and Roland
Are all in Morath.
Yeah,
to Morath.
because it says, because she says, "Where is Caltine?" And the guard said the Duke took her to Morath to be his wife, and then that's when she's remembering about Caltine saying something is coming and I am to greet it. My headaches are worse every day and full of those flapping wings, and then that Roland had been suffering from awful headaches lately. Dorian told her. And now Roland, who shared Dorian's Haviliard blood, had gone to Morath too. Gone or been taken. So.
Yeah.
And then it does say they hear wings in the Farian Gap.
Mm-hmm.
Our scouts do not come
And the
back.
Farian Gap is where that Spider Silk Man said that he
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's over
and-
near, like, the witches, the
Okay, yeah.
wastelands.
Okay,
and-
yeah. See, I'm looking at the map because I was like, okay, where is everything in
Yeah.
relation? So,
Yes.
all right, so you've got Aniel, which is just south of the Farian Gap, which is which is next to the Oakwald Forest, and just south of the salt mines, and then you've got the Rune Mountains, which she talks about. So you've got Aniel, which is south of that stuff, and then you've got Morath, which is south of that, but I guess east? I don't know. Yeah, east of the White Fang Mountains, which is where Cain was from.
Mm-hmm.
And then Melisande is south of
below
Morath,
that.
which
You
is
can
east
see-
of Inish, which is where Yrene was.
Yeah.
Yrene, however you want to say it. Which is a really long ways away from the deserted land, which is where the Red Desert is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can see the Dead Islands over there, Skulls Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is
Yeah.
all of Bellhaven, yeah.
And then, to Gwendolyn is... oh my gosh, is an arrow off the page.
Yeah,
right?
so that means we're, yeah. So basically you have to go across the Great Ocean.
Yes. And then to the southern continent. Okay, so like Wendelin is a completely different landmass.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, these are good things to know.
Yeah, and then you can see like too, like how close Briarcliff is to the Witch Kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What Ansel was talking about.
I love that we're looking at this because I was literally like wanting to like go over the map and look at everything.
I mean, it's really cool like seeing places that we've visited now.
Yeah.
Too.
You see Terrason way up north.
And ones we still are yet. Yeah.
It's just crazy to me, like, how close the Endovir mines are to Terrason.
Yeah.
So, wait. When Arabin rescued her, she was in the river, but was it the Avery?
I don't think so.
I don't remember if we got the whole
I don't think we've gotten the whole
story about him rescuing her yet. Did we? We
got that when so whenever she was little, her parents were killed and she woke up in bed with them, dead. And then the assassin came back, right? Or like whoever killed them came back, and because they realized that they didn't kill her, and like if she lived, then like there's this lost princess of Terrason running around somewhere. And then like it just says that Arobin found her in a river. I don't think it's ever been named.
It does say like half frozen. I thought somewhere she had said that's where he found her, washed upon the shores of the Avery, because I thought it was when she's drowning in the sewer. Hold on, let me find it. Oh, no. Okay. It says it was a river in her native country of Terrason that had almost claimed her life 9 years ago.
Yeah, so that would be the story.
And yeah, okay. That's what I was looking at, because I was like, that doesn't even touch Terrason. How did that? That's what I was trying to figure out. Okay.
Ilium. Hold on. We've heard Ilium mentioned. Why does she mention Ilium? Why is that mentioned? Why is that important? It's not in Assassin's Blade. It's in either Throne of Glass or Crown of Midnight.
She's just mentioned it as like ports, I think, because she's mentioned Orint. We've heard of Ilium, and we've heard of Parents.
Yeah, Orint is like a big place in Terrason, kind of like Rifthold is in Otterland.
Yeah. We've heard a couple of them.
Ilium is, they just mentioned it in passing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm very curious, though. Like, I mean, it's crazy. So, but, like, I definitely see now, like, why some of these treks were so, like, arduous.
Yeah, they're kind of far. I'm excited to see where we're going next.
Yeah, I kind of want to know, like...
Oh, yeah, there's Inish all the way down there.
To the west of Melisande and south of Mora and the White Mountain and the Fairy But no, like, at the end of this, whenever we kind of get the king's perspective,
I wonder if
he brings up how the wyverns need riders.
My later book shows. Okay. Got a map of the southern continent in this book. You guys have your other books, you could look at the map of the southern continent.
Yeah, I'm not doing that yet. They're out in the car.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they're in my other room.
Yeah, yours are closer than mine, though.
Yeah, I still have to get up and, like, go through 2 doors and, like, tell my cats to leave me alone. I'm still recording, and then...
Okay, yeah, see, it says, so, oops, sorry, that was my favorite. So on page 403, it says, but the king wasn't, hold on. Yeah, but the king wasn't
Crown of Midnight?
Yeah, in Crown of Midnight. The king wasn't particularly interested in their petty dramas, not when this brilliant plan had arisen. He'd have to send riders immediately to the Ferrying Gap and the Dead Islands and have General Narek ready his legion.
Oh, yeah, okay, so that's why I'm like, the Dead Islands. Sis bitch, why are you going there? But also, I think the Ferrying Gap makes sense because he's doing his, like, weird experiment type things there, you know?
Yeah, because in the shadows of the Ferrying Gap, he'd been breeding new mounts for his gathering armies, and his wyverns still needed riders, which is on 401.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I was like, that's sus. That's sus. And then he mentioned, like, riders to the Ferrying Gap immediately, and then, like, readying his legion. I'm just like, what are you readying for? Like, what is happening behind the scenes that we don't know about yet?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
This was... It was a lot, and like we've said, like, and I will forever say this to anybody else who hasn't read the series, I'm definitely glad we read it third, because it just gave us more insight into how we already knew Celaena to be.
Yeah.
But we got to see a lot more of her struggle in Throne of Glass with, like, her position and, like, where she was and everything. So we got to see a little bit more of that same, I guess, contempt that Ansel had, in a way. Because in Throne of Glass, it's all about, she wants to get rid of the king. Like, we have to stop. Like, I have to figure out how, like, to become his champion. Like, I've got to figure out how to get rid of these people. I've got to figure out, like, what I can do to the king from the inside, kind of thing. And, like, then we see her walls kind of break down. And, like, that drive, like, still be there, but not necessarily in the same way Ansel's was, or ended up getting. And this showed that, like AB showed that that's how she's always been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why she told Sam that, like, that's, like, why her and Sam, whenever they had that conversation, Sam reminded her, like, or they reminded each other, kind of, like, we do this to people who actually deserve it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, like, we had limits. Yeah.
Like, there are limits. And, like, yes, it did feel good whenever the people that, like, deserved it.
Really deserved it, yeah.
And were tortured. Like, we loved doing that. But, like, that's because we were just inflicting pain on them the only way we knew how, to mimic the pain that they inflicted on others, kind of thing. So it definitely just kind of solidified the type of character that Celaena is, that she's not, like, some cold-hearted person. And, like, part of me is just like, Kale, read! Dorian, read! Like, I want to give you this book in your universe. Like, this is Celaena. Like, this is the girl. I loved the insight we got of her at the theater, too.
Yeah, I loved that.
Like, yes, you know, even though, like, Lysandra and Arobin were there together, like, how she still went and
tried to leans over and is like, you look really beautiful tonight.
I loved it.
I'm sure you already know. Like, that killed me.
Yes.
I'm sure you already know that. And, like, it was just, like, and they had been so at odds, and it was kind of like, and this is another way that her and Kale mimic her and Sam. Or mirror. I don't want to say mimic because they're two different, like, relationships, but how they mirror each other. Like, Celaena's not good at apologizing, and neither is Kale. So, like, Sam's not good at apologizing, neither is Celaena. And in both situations, like, the other person just says something, like, related to what's going on.
Yeah.
As, like, a compliment type thing.
Yeah.
To, like, break the ice and the tension.
Yeah.
And, like, let that door open, because, like, neither one of them want to be the first one to apologize, because, like, in both relationships, like, both people have a sense of pride about them. I don't know.
So what do you guys think is gonna happen in Wendelin? Any theories, any guesses?
I mean, nothing. I don't think this has changed anything about like my previous theory, which was like we're gonna see potentially like maybe get more witch lore and maybe more like kind of because my thought is like because Wendelin has been untouched by the king so far that like people that are fleeing his grip have like gone there, and they mentioned that they're taking in like women and children, right? And so I'm thinking like witches and people with like magical ties will be there, and that Celaena will like be able to interact with them. And part of the thing is like she's going to seek that out for like Dorian because of what Dorian's going through and like being able to help him, but also like it will also help her type thing.
Yeah.
I wonder.
I remember who said it, but someone, I don't remember if it was like an inner monologue thing but someone mentions in Crown of Midnight that clearly Kale was sending her to Wendelin.
It was Elena. Elena told her that he was saving her. He was saving her the only way he knew.
Yeah.
Because like Celaena's used to like these big like Arobin saving her and like Sam saving her and like you know what I mean, and like it's always been like a togetherness type thing. But then like here's Kale sending her away. And like with Kale
because like
knowing the Fae aspect of it, like he realizes the danger. Like he needs to get her out so she can kind of get her strength and comfortability with this part of herself.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say, because it was like the home of the Fae, right? Or like that the home of the Fae is near there.
Yeah, Doranel was over there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm hoping that like her getting over there, she will, since it hasn't been touched by the king yet, I'm hoping that like because so many people are fleeing there, like you said, like the witches and stuff like that, like since it hasn't been touched by the king, like maybe there is some more magic there.
And, like,
that's kind of what I'm thinking about. Get in touch with it a little bit to maybe feel like herself, because like she obviously knows her history, like she knows who her great grandmother was, and she knows that she's got magic and stuff like that. So she's out of touch with that part of herself, and I think that's part of why she feels so lost. Because she doesn't have any guidance. So I'm hoping that like she goes there and gets the guidance that she needs. And where is that place Irene wanted to go? Was that on Winland or was that somewhere else?
She wanted to go to the southern continent
southern continent.
Yeah. I don't remember if she said specifically what town.
Or something. I don't think she said a town, but she said the academy name.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
but
hoping
I think
that would be really cool.
I think I'm interested to see, like, I think that we're going to meet at least one of the other, like, kind of, like, main cast, for lack of better terms, right? Because, like, there's quite a few characters that we know the names of, but, like, obviously haven't seen yet. And so I'm kind of interested in which ones we'll meet there.
Oh, gotcha. Like, okay, people have, gotcha.
Yeah, because, like, I know...
We do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I know we get Rowan at some point, I just don't know when.
Yeah, Rowan, I know... Manon? I don't know how you... Manon. Okay.
It's my favorite character.
Oh, there's the one that starts with an L. Is it Lorcan?
Yes.
Lorcan.
No. Oh, is it? Yeah.
There's Lorcan. Lorcan.
And then there's someone else that I can't think of off the top of my head, but yeah.
I'm just so excited for you to meet them all.
Yeah, so I'm thinking like we'll meet a couple of them at least here, and then maybe a couple. Eventually they go to the southern continent, I've gathered, because you have a map of the southern continent, so I'm assuming maybe some are picked up there. So
I don't know. I'm just super excited to read it all, and like
yeah,
I'm probably only gonna have tabs, honestly, for because I want to be able to sit down and like actually tab it, and like the way that we have to read for the pod, like I'm just gonna have like tabs for the tandem read, like the chapters that go together, and then I'm gonna have like a tab color for like what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because it's so much easier for me to like find stuff that way instead of
Yeah.
like having to like flip through, okay, these are my favorite quotes, like these are my favorite scenes, and then like having to like find the spot.
Yeah.
So much
yeah.
easier.
I need to I need to peek at Airfire and see like where stopping
A good
points should
stopping
be.
point.
Yeah. Yeah. I have all my Kindle highlights printed out in that binder. So I'll like flip through that to like kind of see.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I feel like we're just on the up. I feel like we're on a roller coaster and we're just like on that uptick, you know?
Yeah, I know. It's like
Like that slow
Dude.
and we're like
Nope, not yet. We haven't hit
and
that
you're
part
gonna
yet.
say
No, we haven't
I
hit that
know,
part
but
yet.
like
We're still here.
I think
Like,
that's
Throne of Glass
I
was us
think
taking
that's
off.
like
Crown of Midnight was the turn. Assassin's Blade
yeah.
starts the journey up, and we're just at that like that next.
Era of Fire is gonna be like right before the actual curve.
Yeah, Air
You know,
Fire is
like
gonna take us to the curve, and then like we're gonna just like drop down and like not know which way we're going after that because the drop is so fast and so steep.
yeah.
And I think Kira likes that analogy.
She's like, if only you know.
I don't know. I'm super excited. It's hard for me to pick a favorite out of those stories because they are all so good,
Yeah.
and they were all so necessary because, like I said, we all kind of like, well, me and Kel, I guess, you already knew, suspected Arobin from the beginning just because it was something that Celaena wouldn't let herself think about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because there's
Also,
been hopeful at
reconcile
times, like
that.
there were times where she was like hopeful, like it wasn't him, you know?
And then
like
like
that's
at
like
the end of AB, she's just like, Arobin will rescue me. Like he's gonna
Yeah.
come find me. Like when he finds out
Well,
like what Ferran's done, like he's going to rescue me. And then like he's up on the fucking rooftop with Ferran as she's being driven away in a prison carriage.
well, that's what I was gonna say. So that's kind of why I like suspected him from the beginning was because you hear about her being in Endovier for a year, and then she's back and she's part of this tournament, which I know like the people don't know that she is Celaena, right? She's going by Lillian, right?
Really, yeah.
But you would think that he has people like posted around that would like recognize her, that would know, and like it would get back to him. But like he has made no like attempt to rescue her, even when she's been in Endovier. Like you would think before she got to Endovier that he would have attempted to rescue her if he wasn't in on the betrayal type thing, right? So even if it wasn't directly Arobin, it was like my thought process was it was someone doing it at the direction of him kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that he was at least complicit in it and that it was like intentional because like I feel like you would have seen him try to like get her back, especially because like she was his protege and like all of these things. So yeah, that was a big reason for me.
Yeah, wait, didn't we get something in Throne of Glass or Crown of Midnight about her talking about this person named Ben? Like the Ben that's mentioned in Assassin's Blade? Because I feel like I heard like her small, like shortened, clipped version of that.
she might
She
have
doesn't
mentioned him during
that.
that time.
Like I don't know which one it would have been in, but it would have been probably her talking to Kale because she's opened up to Kale a lot more about that stuff than she has Dorian.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I feel like I remember her talking about Ben before, like because that sounded really familiar because that's I mean like that's how it opens, is them talking about Ben and Grigori,
I don't
And
remember Ben. I do remember Wesley, but I don't remember
yeah,
Ben.
I remember Wesley.
I was gonna say she might have mentioned Ben
Does
during.
Wesley die? Do we know that Wesley dies?
They. I don't remember. I think
Because I know Kale says
she
something
said.
about that because she brings up Ferran
Yeah.
and
She
all
did
that.
ask. I think so, and she asks, like,
How or something.
Yeah.
I'll have to dig back through and find that because, like, I do remember that being like a really big thing for her because that's what started the whole cycle of the he tried to warn me thing and like
Yeah.
he replayed the
Yep.
whole moment. I don't know. I've got to find it. Now I need to go watch all those TikToks you sent because I forgot you sent them until like right now.
Yeah.
Well, earlier, but tonight. Okay, well, this has been a very fun, chaotic, and not as linear conversation about Assassin's Blade as we'd planned. But that's what happens when you have 3 people in 2 time zones trying to figure everything out. It is currently 1 a.m. here for me and Kellen, and Kira has had her child up and down at midnight. So it's been fun times over here. But yeah, chaos. It happens. You've seen me sipping on coffee, so here we are. But make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and definitely let us know what order you've read it in if you've read it before, and if you wish you would have read it differently, because that's like one of the biggest debates of this series. So let us know.
For sure.
We're on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook.
Yeah.
Here we go up the guys. And Kira is just like the ride operator, just like watching and just waiting, and like
She's
knows
like
the drop's
waiting.
coming, and she's just like,
Yes.
We're like blindfolded on this ride too, right? Like we can only tell because like we're hearing what's going on, right? And she's like giggling because she knows exactly what's coming up for us and when we're gonna squeal.
Yeah, and I feel like these.
So many
I feel like
things.
these episodes are like the camera pictures that you get from like Disney on the rides.
Yes.
Like I feel
yes.
that's what I feel like the episodes are. Sometimes we're just like and then other times we're just like hee, and then other times we're just like what the fuck? What is happening?
know. Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
can't wait to see where it takes us next.
Yep. Now let's get Air of Fire over with so we can do the tandem read before I start back to school next fall.
Yeah. Airfire, Queen of Shadows, and then your tandem read.
Yeah. Let's get this. Okay. This is gonna be fun. All right, yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, share, follow, whatever. Do it all. We love you guys.
Yes. Love you guys. Bye.